presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
The following program is for mature and logical audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, everyone. Philip A. Flood here with your Thinking Logically news update. Iconic scenes have swept across the country and social media this weekend as the Trump dance is on full display throughout college football stadiums, mixed martial arts events, and even the woke NFL. It appears clear the political tide has turned in this country, and it seems as if now everyone wants to jump on this MAGA bandwagon.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Thinking Logically. I'm your host, Joseph A. Corsai. That was our buddy Philip A. Flood with the cold open there. And I just want to begin by saying it's kind of amazing how in less than a decade we went from athletes kneeling for the national anthem to athletes doing the Trump dance. All right, we got a lot to get to today. Topics include the weekend in sports, Joe Biden exploring the Amazon rainforest, and ballots that are still being counted right here in Pennsylvania. But before we get into anything at all, allow me to introduce the other two people responsible for making this show possible. On the ones and twos, our producer, Ryan Garazunas. Ryan, how are you?
I'm feeling really good today. Big win over Baltimore yesterday. I couldn't be better.
It's amazing how they just do it every time against Baltimore.
we just have their number.
I feel like they were good in the playoffs too, right?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, turn the hourglass over, wait to the playoffs. And then from Allegheny County, Mr. Gordy. Mark, how are you?
Joe, Ryan, I am great. And since you mentioned sports, Joe, this date in history, November 18th, 1962, the Pittsburgh Steelers helmet is adorned with the U.S. Steel Mark logo for the first time.
Ooh, I like it.
Here we go, Steelers.
Arians go, bow, bow. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Okay, this is a political podcast, so very rarely do we start off with sports, but that's what we're doing today. We're going to talk about what happened with the Trump dance just sweeping the nation. In a matter of a weekend, our entire country seemed to change. I noticed it on Friday night with the Tyson Paul sparring match, we'll call it. One of Jake Paul's cornermen had a Make America Healthy Again hat on. Then, in the post-fight interview, Jake Paul echoed his tweet from election night and again showed his support for President-elect Donald Trump. Then on Saturday, it carried over into college football, into the stadiums across the nation, and then as night fell, UFC 309 was about to begin. In the main event, we saw John Bones Jones eliminate his opponent with a kick to the liver, and then immediately after break into the Trump dance as he smiled and pointed at President Trump, who was sitting ringside. He then exited the cage, shook Trump's hand, and handed him the championship belt. It was a great night for Trump, and an even better night for MAGA, who saw supporters seemingly come out of the shadows this weekend. How could it get any better, you ask? Well, next came the NFL games on Sunday. And what did we see again? Numerous players busting out the Trump dance. Brock Bowers, Calvin Ridley, Nick Bosa, half of the Detroit Lions defense or special teams, I'm not sure. They were all doing the Trump dance, and they did the Trump dance unafraid. Remember, not very long ago, Donald Trump was persona non grata in this country. Now everyone wants on the MAGA bandwagon. Support from the NCAA to the NFL, boxing to MMA, cities to the suburbs, in the span of only a weekend. We learned how united we really are. And all it took to get here was just a few innocent female college students getting murdered by illegals and letting children change their genders at will. That's it. That's all it took. Mark, I'm going to read you a famous quote that I love. I think we've read it before the show, from Mark Twain. And tell me what you think. In the beginning of a change, the patriot is a scarce man. and brave and hated and scorned. When his cause succeeds, the timid join him, for then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Does that sound like what we saw this weekend, Mark? The people that were afraid to show their support for Trump are no longer afraid, and it's a lot of people of all colors, races, and backgrounds?
Joe, the culture tide is turning. I mean, that's what this is. I mean, you see people, college athletes, high school athletes, pro athletes, UFC fighters, all doing the Trump dance. We saw Javier Milei do it down at Mar-a-Lago the other night. Like you said, he was persona non grata not long ago, basically meaning he's nobody. He doesn't exist. But now, again, Joe, the tide is turning. The tide is turning, and he actually saw John Jones the other night give Trump the title belt after he won. But that was something else, that whole scene from Saturday night. Are we going to get into that, by the way?
Yeah, let's get into it right now.
How about Trump's reaction when he saw Joe Rogan? He doesn't hug anyone. He hugged Joe Rogan.
I noticed that, and you were talking about John Bones Jones. He had the dominant handshake. Unlike when he shook Biden's hand, he brought John Bones Jones in. But no, the whole crew, the walkout, it was like World Wrestling Federation stuff.
I read a tweet that said something like, imagine Joe Biden walking into that arena with Adam Schiff, Rachel Levine, Karine Jean-Pierre. It's like the comparison, it was perfect. And the two groups couldn't be more night and day.
No, you're definitely not wrong. Who was he there? Let's go over in detail. So at UFC 309, on the plane ride, we saw the famous picture of Don Jr., RFK, Elon, and Trump sitting on the table. And let's just talk about this picture for starters. It looked like RFK had to prove he wasn't a Fed by eating the unhealthy McDonald's was filled with seed oils in front of everyone. Did it not? Did it not?
What about Mike Johnson, too, getting in the picture? It's like he was like the little brother on the trip.
Oh, he'll do anything now. Trump will get him to do it. He'll pass. And did you see how excited he was? He was jumping up like a little boy.
When they were walking into the arena, he was behind Trump, pointing to him.
It was crazy.
With 2 fingers. Donald Trump has, honestly, I mean, you think about it, this man has an aura that is indescribable.
Like Rick James. like Charlie Murphy described Rick James when he would come in and had that aura over his head. That's what it's like, right?
I mean, tell me someone else is like that. You can't.
He's a 70-something-year-old man going to an MMA fight. And it's not because he's the president-elect, because this was happening whenever he was kind of persona non grata. It's just you're seeing it everywhere now. It's all over every sport. It's everywhere.
It is. It's taking over social media.
And he invented the dance, too. It's his dance.
You love to see it.
I got a few things written here about that airplane picture. Can we just move back and talk about Elon? If again, it's a radio show, but look at the picture. What the hell was Elon doing with the French fries? Look at the ketchup and how he put the ketchup on his French fries. And tell me he actually might not be a maniac. I don't know. There was no government efficiency in using that ketchup on the French fries. Maybe there was, I don't know, but I didn't like that. And Don Jr., was he holding up fake French fries? Look at if you're listening at home, look at the picture, zoom into Donald Trump, zoom into Elon's fries. Donald Jr.'s look fake. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Elon had the time of his life. I mean, Donald Trump slapped him sitting ringside. Elon was loving it. And, you know, the libs melt down when they see Elon now all the time. I mean, the libs are leaving X en masse, and they're all going to this Blue Sky platform, which I don't even know what that is, but they're all leaving X because no one likes Elon anymore.
Yeah, what is that Blue Sky? I've heard that 3 times now today.
I don't know. I heard that too, and they had a lot of complaints on Blue Sky. Maybe, I don't know, maybe people complaining about misinformation. So it's going to fail. Whatever it is, It sounds like it's going to fail really early. It sounds like another social media app, though.
I've never heard of it until today, and today I heard it 3 times. Somebody mentioned that.
That's how you win the political debate. You get off Twitter, right? And you create your own. I mean, it worked for Trump, though. That's the crazy thing. It worked for Trump until they had to let him back on Twitter and X, whatever it's called now. Mark, I just can't. I expected to see something like this in the UFC, even college football, because even the stadiums, not necessarily the players, the stadiums. But to see it in the woke NFL, do you think, and I think you brought this up to me, do you think they'll ban the Trump dance? Roger Goodell will come out and say, no, that's enough fun. No more fun. NFL. No fun league.
I was just going to mention that. I mean, you might see the NFL come out and say, no more Trump dance after touchdowns. I don't think they will do that, but
you have to kneel if you do the Trump dance.
You guys got to also remember Tyreek Hill pretended he was being arrested by the police the day he got arrested on his way to the stadium during his celebration dance. So
we've come a long way with celebrations, but the Trump thing might set us back 20 years.
Right.
Like we had people bring out cell phones from their socks and call their mothers on their cell phones. Not the Trump dance is too much. It's dangerous to our democracy. Is that still the word?
A threat to democracy.
Threat to democracy. Speaking of which, I don't want to transition topics yet, but that is a great transition to the Mika and Joe topic. do you have either of you have any closing statements on what we saw this weekend in sports with politics?
No, I'm good.
Mark?
Yeah, let's move on to Mika and Joe. This is a great topic.
If you're not Mika and Joe, it is. So Mika and Joe are known for their hate of Trump. Not just their hate, but they're warning the population that if Trump takes over. Let me get the exact quote. In October, Joe Scarborough said that Trump will take news networks off the air if they don't report fairly on him and will be Hitler on day one. Today, though, Joe says it's time to work with Donald Trump. And then him and Mika go down there to Mar-a-Lago, meet with Trump. I think it was on Friday, so before this UFC stuff even happened and whatever. And on the meeting, I guess this came out today, on the meeting, Trump on Mika and Joe, he said, I received a call from Joe Scarborough requesting a meeting from him and Mika, and I agreed that it would be a good thing if such a meeting took place, Trump said. They congratulated me on running a great and flawless campaign. Now, Mark, Mika and Joe, they did this specifically for ratings, right? Why else would you meet Adolf Hitler at the Eagle's Nest in the Bavarian Alps?
Joe, the fact that they went down there and kissed the ring of Donald Trump is an absolute Hail Mary play by them. Like you said, there's been talks over the last couple of days that Comcast is going to sell MSNBC, spin it off into something else. Their ratings have plummeted after the election. Why have the ratings plummeted, Joe? Wouldn't you think more liberals would be tuning in to Mika and Joe in the morning to for a place of solace since Hitler won the election? But no, the ratings have plummeted. I wonder why. Probably because no one believes anything they're saying anymore. So they go down to Mar-a-Lago, they kiss the ring, they bend the knee to President Trump. This is from Brian Stelter on X. Loyal Morning Joe viewers are furious about the Trump meeting. At Jeff Jarvis called it a betrayal of their colleagues, democracy, and us all. It is a disgusting show of obedience in advance. Some fans are vowing not to watch the show anymore. Well, I think some fans have already vowed not to watch the show. I mean, Dan Bongino is pulling in 200,000 people on a live stream. Mika and Joe might be getting 400,000 or 500,000 on their morning show. So that goes to show you how far they've fallen. And remember, let's not forget, they used to love Donald Trump about 9-10 years ago, Joe. Am I correct in saying that?
You are 100%. They gave him the most free airtime, I think, out of anyone. But yeah.
Yeah. So this is probably a last. Maybe they had a come to Jesus moment, or maybe the head of MSNBC said, "Listen, guys, it's time to change the tone here. Let's warm up to the president." I mean, we're seeing it's going to happen in more media outlets as we go on. The Washington Post is hiring more conservative voices. Now, did I see CNN or who was it? I forget what publication I saw that they want to hire more Republicans to put on air. So I think the temperature is definitely changing in this country, and it's changing rapidly.
I agree. And you mentioned the ratings, not just for Morning Joe. I'm talking about in general with CNN, MSNBC. Their ratings all shot up on election night and like the day after. But what they don't realize is it was mostly people just tuning in to watch them cry and melt down, I think. I don't think they realize that. Maybe now they do. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think The View was very upset this morning that they went down there to visit with President Trump. So that tells you everything you need to know, that The View thought their visit was abhorrent.
This is going to sound crazy, but is it possible that the news maybe is just lying and Trump maybe isn't Hitler?
Well, President Biden welcomed him into the White House and looked thrilled about it. So
Yeah.
I think everyone knows that the media has been blowing smoke for the last year or two, if not longer, with him. And people aren't stupid, Joe. I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that, this was all overblown and he's not as bad as everyone's saying he is. And he actually came out today, and I think Tulsi Gabbard even mentioned this to Dan Bongino on Saturday night. There are no plans for retribution, in terms of the people who wronged Trump and were out to get him. He said he's not out to do that, and he wants to bring unity to the country. So we'll see if that happens.
Ryan, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was just going to say, I think that, people are, I think what we're learning is people are smarter than maybe they were given credit for. A lot of times we were saying, these liberals, these, but I got to tell you, a lot of people that I thought was on the other side of the fence now, since the election is over, they are showing, as you were saying, Joe, their support for Trump and how they maybe all along they thought, this guy knows what he's talking about. And these people were loony over here on the left. But they just kind of needed that confirmation. Once he won the election, now we could speak the way we feel. Because, again, I see a lot of people that I didn't think was voting right now supporting Donald Trump. And it's pretty awesome, actually.
So the smarter people were there. They were just being quiet and not giving their opinion because they didn't want to be ostracized by the left.
Possibly, yes.
I think that actually might have been the most intelligent thing, the most intelligent point you come up with.
Maybe.
That
yeah.
was a really good point. And I think you're right. I actually think you're right. Mark, anything else before we move on to the new possible FBI director, if he can be confirmed?
Since we're talking about Trump here, this is from LifeSite Catholic. LifeSite news readers are warmly invited to register and take part in a 9-day novena dedicated to the well-being of President Donald Trump and his conversion to the Catholic faith, Joe. And that's going to start on November 21st. So there was I saw this on X, and I know we don't have this on the sheet today, but he is a very famous Catholic priest. He is an exorcist. He was seen at Mar-a-Lago. So could we be seeing an exorcism of the White House take place here by a Catholic priest? You never know. Not count it out.
I would love to see them tweets. Can you imagine those tweets? I can't. Honestly, my head's going to explode just thinking of funny things to say. So let's move on to Kash Patel being named the FBI director. President... an exorcism at the White House, and we might see it in 2025. Oh, my God. Okay. President-elect Trump names Kash Patel as FBI director, and that's according to Steve Bannon's War Room this morning. Ryan, get the audio ready. This is a real quote from Kash Patel, and it's largely why I'm excited for him to lead the FBI. He said he would shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopen it the next day as the Museum of the Deep State. Ryan, play that audio, and then we're going to talk about Kash Patel.
I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a Museum of the Deep State. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and rapists and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title.
They sure as hell were looking for the pipe bomber. That's what's good about Kash Patel, Mark, and then I'll hand it to you. If he gets in as the FBI director, we get transparency and answers starting with January 6th on the pipe bomb, I hope.
That will be something we look forward to. The FBI knows who planted that pipe bomb there on January 6th, Joe. If Kash Patel becomes FBI director, I think you're going to see not only that, but a bunch of other information get declassified that Americans have been waiting for. And if I was Kash Patel, the first thing I would do, I agree with him. I'd close down the J. Edgar Hoover building and I'd relocate the FBI to a different city in America. Get all these people out of Washington, D.C., get all the bureaucrats out of there and relocate them to other parts of the country, East Coast, wherever it may be. But that is something they need to do. And they've been talking about it, too. So speaking of the DOJ, Joe, Trump has sent word. This is from @Leo the Lion on X. Trump has sent word to Senate Majority Leader Thune that if the Senate doesn't confirm Attorney General Matt Gaetz, he will appoint him using the Federal Vacancies Reform Act of 1998, which allows for temporary appointments for up to 210 days with a possible 210-day extension. This individual would not require than a confirmation. So Trump's doing you can either do it your way or my way.
He's doing the Mike Tyson. He's telling him, you better do it soon. Knee slapper there. Get it? Get it? The guy's name is Thune and Tyson has a lisp. Okay. Anything else before we move to a break here, Mark? There's so much. There's so much, and the hour moves so fast.
No, that was great.
All right, when we return, Joe Biden gave a speech in South America and then immediately went to explore the Amazon rainforest. I don't know. Who's in charge now? We'll talk about it when we return. You know, when Joe Biden shuffles in front of the cameras to answer scripted questions during the day, he lies like Don King. But what you don't know is, when he goes to sleep at night, he lies like an Egyptian king because he uses MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets. Grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River, its long staple cotton makes it ultra soft and breathable. Use the promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings on this amazing product. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
When you talk about community involvement and safety, the name Fry stands at the forefront in Beaver County. Fry Transportation's mission is to continue to raise the bar as the gold standard in their industry by providing the safest, most reliable, and cost-efficient transportation service in Beaver County through their strong relationships with their communities, best-in-their-class drivers, equipment, and technology. There's nothing more important than the safety of their students, employees, and community members. Fry Transportation, where the quality of their organization is characterized by the makeup of the individual behind the wheel. Tri-State Sporting Arms on Main Street in New Brighton is now open. Stop in and explore their extensive selection of high-quality firearms, pistols, and accessories. Tri-State Sporting Arms also pays top dollar for used firearms. Their experienced and highly trained staff is here to assist you in selecting the right firearm for you. Stop on down to Beaver County's newest firearm store, Tri-State Sporting Arms, at 807 3rd Avenue, New Brighton, or check them out on Facebook.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. You're probably wondering why on God's green earth we're playing so many jungle theme songs. It's because of our next story. So on Saturday, President Joe Biden finished a press conference in South America and then just casually strolled into the Amazon rainforest. You should see the video. Ryan, I hope I sent it to you. I'm watching it now. Look at him. Look at this snake returning back to his natural habitat in the rainforest. Now, normally I wouldn't think anything of this. Joe Biden's old and probably has dementia. He's wandered off numerous times the last 4 years. We've seen it. But this situation is a little bit different. I'll remind our audience that Joe Biden's own uncle, Uncle Brozy, was attacked and eaten by cannibals during World War II. What kind of tribes is the Amazon known for having? Cannibalistic tribes. I blame his handlers. I think at this point they may be trying to kill him. They let an 80-year-old nursing home patient with dementia wander into the jungle, one of the most dangerous habitats on planet Earth. What are they going to do next? Have a press conference at the top of a mountain and let him ski down it after? You know, Mark, maybe if he goes a little deeper into the jungle, he'll find the rest of the cult we call the Democrat Party and some Kool-Aid for him to drink as well. What do you say?
It looked like he just got voted off of the off of Survivor, and the tribal council had spoken. That's what this looked like. What was he doing? He just wandered off.
And I'm looking at it right now, Joe. It's not even like he heads back the path. He's heading right into those woods.
There's a giant. He might come back. I expect him to come back with an arrow in his back or
Where's he
something.
going?
Wow.
Wow.
Spoken, Joe.
Wow.
Extinguish your flames. Oh, my gosh.
We've come full circle. We've started the show on stories about Joe Biden claiming he had an uncle eaten by cannibals, and now Joe Biden's going to be eaten by cannibals. Where's Secret Service? I mean, that's a, like, remember the movie Arachnophobia? Wasn't it in the jungles of South America where them giant spiders were hanging in? There's got to be something that wasn't safe for it. There's no way you could let him exit. Either exit stage left, but don't go into the jungle.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. Part of me is going to miss these clips. We'll call them cheap fakes, as Kareem Johnson said. I am going to miss some of these things with Biden that we saw the last 4 years.
I want to spend all day on all these topics, but we can't. There's too much to move on to because Joe Biden's also giving Ukraine the okay to use long-range missiles and attack Russia. I don't know if he used a satellite phone from the jungle to give that order, but or if one of his handlers did. But let's cover this. So, President Trump won a clear mandate to end the war in Ukraine, like pretty clear mandate. So why on earth is Joe Biden giving Ukraine the okay to use long-range missiles to attack inside of Russia in his last 60 days as president? Number one, it's the exact opposite of what most Americans voted for. It's and number two, it's dangerous to our democracy. And in fact, all democracies across planet Earth. A nuclear war could erupt over this. I wonder if seriously, when I say this, I'm being serious. I wonder if they are trying to have Trump enter the White House under the worst possible situation anyone can imagine. War or worse. Let's look at the facts. Both Putin and Zelensky said they were willing to negotiate an end to the war. Both. So again, why would Biden want Ukraine to attack inside of Russia using weapons given to them by us, the United States? I don't know, but I guarantee it isn't Joe Biden making that call. It's his handlers. So one of the main goals for the Trump administration should be this. Exactly. Find out who's really been calling the shots and show us, the American people, we the people, show us who it was and why they were doing it. Joe Biden is obsessed. He wants to make sure Ukrainians are fully taken care of in his last 2 months of office. How about making sure Americans are fully taken care of in your last 2 months of office? Mark?
I mean, Joe, do you think Russia's going to escalate this from here?
I don't know, but if you would, that'd be a prime time to do it in the last 60 days of one administration before another one comes in, right? If you're just thinking logically.
Right. That's my question. I mean, there has to be some back channel communication, or not back channel communication, just direct communication between the incoming Trump administration and the Kremlin to say, hey, listen, don't escalate this. You know, we're coming. Just hang on for a few more weeks, and we'll put an end to all this.
Well, Mark, I hate to interrupt you, but let me just this thought just popped in my head. What if they're baiting Trump to have these communications with Putin just so they can frame him and blame him? Oh, it's only because Trump as president-elect got involved and threw our negotiations all off. I'm telling you that's a narrative they could use.
You're right. I think that they could definitely use that if they wanted to, if this escalated. But Thomas Massie tweeted this morning, by authorizing long-range missiles to strike inside Russia, Biden is committing an unconstitutional act of war that endangers the lives of all U.S. citizens. This is an impeachable offense, but the reality is he's an emasculated puppet of a deep state. Joe, I think the military-industrial complex realizes that, you know, they're not going to be as the Trump administration maybe might not be as friendly with them as the Biden administration has. But I don't know where this goes from here. I hope Russia doesn't use nuclear weapons between now and January 20th. That's 2 months. I mean, we were worried about nuclear war before the election. Now we have to worry about it from now until Inauguration Day. So I just hope cooler heads prevail here.
You made a very good point, and it got me thinking who is actually probably really responsible for this, and it might be the Pentagon and the people where Peter Hegseth is going to take over of National Secretary of Defense or whatever his position is going to be. He's going to be in charge of basically the military-industrial complex, kind of, and maybe they know that, and they have to act in the next 60 days. Remember from the funeral, like it was the Godfather or mobster movie, Obama and Biden. Obama looking at him and saying, "We still have time." The election was in a week. What did that mean? I think we're starting to see now. They were talking about after the election.
Yeah. Again, these are U.S. provided, right? U.S. provided long-range missiles to strike deep inside of Russia. Oh man, this is I mean, this just goes to show you how reckless this administration has been with their foreign policy in the last 4 years. I mean, this is a great cherry on top, we'll say. The last 4 years of just, it's blind support of Ukraine and no desire at all to bring peace to this region.
No. And no transparency. And this is a good segue. This is from Chuck Ross on X. The White House normally releases visitor logs at the beginning of each month, give or take a couple days. This month's release would cover visits made in July when Biden quit the race. It may reveal some interesting visits, but it remains to be seen if the White House will release before tomorrow. And that was from a week ago, actually. And there's still, 2 weeks later, they still no White House visitor logs from July. Mark, where could they be? Can they be in that giant fire that we saw from behind Biden and Trump? Was that what they were doing?
I always wondered how truthful these White House visitor logs are. I mean, like, do they have to put everyone that comes into the White House down on a visitor log? I mean, can they get around that? I don't know how that works.
Well, they got around it going to the beach. Going to the beach is how they got around it every weekend. So you kind of have to have the people on there because you have to know, I'm sure they have to be vetted and stuff like that. So probably be harder to sneak someone in the White House versus Joe Biden's Delaware beach house where Hunter was doing whatever for months, years at a time.
Right. Yeah. Interesting, though.
You sent me this, too. I think right before the show, from Patrick Webb on X. Breaking, officials at the FBI and DOJ have reportedly started hiring themselves criminal defense attorneys in anticipation of Donald Trump's return to the White House. It's because they're all connected, I think. The DOJ, the FBI, I don't want to say Biden, but it is Biden, his administration. Lawyer up, preserve your documents, right, Mark?
You said this months ago. You were telling these people to lawyer up because Trump's going to win and they're going to need representation as for what to be held accountable for what they've done the last 4 years, Joe. So this doesn't surprise me at all. I hope Mike Davis has a role in this administration in some way, shape, or form. But, yeah, I mean, they should. And as far as, like what you said, preserving documents, I mean, what happens if they just burn them? What happens then?
Got to be some metadata and hard copies, right? You would think.
It wouldn't shock me at all if they destroyed every single document from the last 4 years.
No, it would not shock me either.
I mean, what the alternative is, face prosecution.
No, they're going to be facing prosecution either way. We will find the documents. Don't worry. Nothing is deleted forever. All right, we got to take a break, though. When we return, the Lincoln Riley trial started, and honestly, I have no words. I'm just disgusted. So you're listening to Thinking Logically on 99.3 FM. We'll be back shortly. It's Joe again from Thinking Logically, here to tell you about one of my favorite clothing items, the MyPillow hoodie. Two things I love the most about this hoodie are how it fits and how it feels. This hoodie is extremely roomy, and its terry cloth material makes it lighter than any other hoodie I own. Use promo code LOGIC to maximize your savings. The MyPillow hoodie. Get yours today. It's Joe Corsi here from Thinking Logically to tell you about Beaver County's #1 realtor, Mark Galla with RE/MAX Select Realty. With over 10 years experience, Mark knows all the ins and outs of the real estate business, so whether you're looking to rent, buy, sell, or swap your house, you can rely on Mark to take the hassle out. Mark Galla of RE/MAX Select Realty, going above and beyond.
Junction Auto Service reminds us, we know too often our veterans and military spouses have trouble finding jobs. Join the Alliance to help support our transitioning vets and their families. If you're an employer, take advantage of their skills. Hire smart and hire vets. That special message has been brought to you by Junction Auto Service in New Brighton, where service isn't just a courtesy, it's a commitment. For more information, give them a call at 724-775-2400. That's 724-775-2400 for Junction Auto Service at 425 Constitution Boulevard in New Brighton.
Tune in to Driving in the Fast Lane with Frank Sparks on 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, Monday through Friday from 6:30 to 9 a.m. Frank will talk about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There's also music to get you started for the day. The show is brought to you by Patriot Home Care. So set your radio dial to 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP. We're streamed live on BeaverCountyRadio.com, so you can listen every morning on Beaver County Radio.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here, 99.3 FM WBVP. Earlier we were talking about how the Trump dance has swept across our nation. And then last segment we were talking about how Joe Biden just vanished into the Amazon, never to be seen again, eaten by cannibals. Maybe, I don't know. Fact check me on that. Now we're going to cover the Lincoln Riley trial here and talk about a switch up here from funny to completely sad. So I see a lot of this trend on social media from those on the left that accuse those on the right of how do they say it? You voted against women's rights for cheaper eggs and gas and that kind of stuff. This is why the Democrats lost everything this election, and for some reason, they're still just not getting it. Don't tell me I voted against women's rights until you listen to the 911 audio and body cam audio of Lincoln Riley and her murder. 17 minutes. 17 minutes of her fighting. She was raped and murdered by an illegal alien, immigrant, whatever you want to let in by the Biden-Harris administration. Joe Corsi, voted to protect innocent lives like Lincoln Riley's. And it was you who voted against women's rights. Mark, some disturbing things from the trial that I don't even want to get into, but the girl fought for 17 minutes. Before anyone tells me I voted against women's rights, I want them to set a timer for 17 minutes and think about Lincoln Riley that entire time. These people on the left are obsessed with rape when it's about an abortion or a 30-year-old allegation from a political candidate out of the blue. Not when it's a young girl getting raped by an illegal immigrant gang member and killed. Mark?
Well, again, people say that, they Trump railroaded the border bill, so he could have something to run on. He didn't need the border bill. Okay, it was a bad bill to begin with, but even if it did pass, let's just say, he had all of this other evidence that already occurred. This migrant crime, Lincoln Riley, who they mentioned, was it State of the Union address, actually?
Yeah.
Her name was mentioned. So this happened, last spring?
It was mentioned as Lincoln Riley, the football coach for USC, but yes.
Yes. Yeah. So Americans see what's going on, all right? Every state is a border state. I just saw something, was it today, about, I think it was a murder or something like that, or an attempted murder here in Pittsburgh. And Allegheny County law enforcement had to get the guy's name from Border Patrol. So this is going on in every state. It's not just Georgia. It's not just along the border. By the way, speaking of that, Katie Hobbs said that she will not be taking part, and her state will not allow Trump's mass deportation program to go ahead in the state of Arizona. So we'll see how that works out for her. But these are we know the DHS released information. They released all these stats about all these convicted murderers, convicted rapists in their home countries. That they're now here in America. We're talking tens of thousands, not just a couple hundred. And it's time for those people to leave.
Yeah, we'll help them leave.
And by the way, speaking of that, this whole thing, I believe that Trump's going to declare a national emergency. And once he does this, he can use the military to expedite the deportation plans that they have. So Tom Homan tweeted something about this, and Donald Trump retweeted it and said true. So it looks like this is going to go forward on January 20th, as soon as he's sworn in.
Good, because what did Tom Homan say? They're going to start with the criminal gangs, the most important because they're not just going to be able to get everyone at once, but they're going to start with the most important. And this is from Allie Bradley on X. She's been following this Lincoln Riley trial, and she says this guy, it's now confirmed by DHS, this guy that killed Lincoln Riley was a member of what is the name of the gang? Trenla something. I can't find it here now. Tren de Aragua, correct. That's the gang. And then the roommate of this guy testified. The roommate of Lincoln Riley's killer testified during his trial that they went to the Roosevelt Hotel together in September of 2023 and received a taxpayer-funded flight to Georgia. How ridiculous is this?
Extremely ridiculous. I mean, you were talking about the United States of America flying in these criminals into this country. This guy he didn't come across the border. He was flown in by the United States of America. That's the level. This is what people have voted. This is why Donald Trump won. I mean, do people understand that?
It's like
one of the many reasons.
It's like D-Day with illegal immigrants in the state of Georgia. They're just parachuting in. They're coming out of helicopters.
How many people have we flown in to this country? I would love to know that.
A lot of Southwest miles, I'm sure, were collected. A lot of Southwest miles. It's just a total disgrace. That poor girl and her family. All right, anything else before we move on to... let's do RFK after this.
Sure.
All right, so... Again, I love looking at old articles. This is an article about RFK joining the Obama administration. There's actually two articles. Both are from Politico. One from November 5th of 2008. The other from last week. So Politico in 2008, headline, Obama considers stars for cabinet. President-elect Obama is strongly considering RFK Jr. to head the EPA. It's Environmental Protection Agencies, for those who don't know. And then this is from last week. Again, same outlet, Politico. Headline reads, Trump to select RFK Jr. to head HHS. The choice will roil many public health experts after his years of touting debunked claims that vaccines cause autism. Now, what experts? You mean the ones that wake up one day and think they're a woman trapped in a man's body like Dr. Rachel Levin? Or the health experts that told us the COVID RMNA vaccine was not only safe, but effective? It was probably neither. Or the most famous expert, Dr. Fauci, who told us it would make more sense to wear 2 masks over our face for the holidays. I can't, Mark. I can't do it today.
We have been conditioned over the last 4 years to not question anything. We've been shamed into questioning science because Fauci literally said, "I am science." Said that. And anytime someone has tried to question the efficacy of vaccines, whatever vaccine you may be, the efficacy of wearing masks, you were shamed. And you were, a science denier or whatever it may be. But it's okay to question things. I mean, we should be questioning everything. This is from Brad Cohn, at Brad Cohn on X. This is from a New York Times fact check of RFK Jr. Mr. Kennedy has singled out Fruit Loops as an example of a product with too many artificial ingredients, questioning why the Canadian version has fewer than the U.S. version. But he was wrong. The ingredient list is roughly the same, although Canada's has natural colorings made from blueberries and carrots, while the U.S. product contains red dye 40, yellow 5, and blue 1, as well as, I'm not even going to attempt to say this, BHT, a lab-made chemical that is used for freshness, according to the ingredient label.
Exact same. What's wrong? What? How are they the exact same?
Yeah. So, as they say, same but different.
One has poisons for the coloring and one has natural coloring. They're the same. Yeah. This is a fact check, audience. This is how the fact checks work.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And this is, New York Times up to their same old shenanigans. And then Alex Soros, he's back. He's back here. He tweets out that RFK, there's an article, RFK Jr.'s plans for health agencies could weaken a future pandemic response, with a picture of Trump and Deborah Birx and former Attorney General Bill Barr. And then Alex Soros tweets, they are playing with fire. Americans will be screwed if there's another pandemic.
We were screwed last time. You sent everyone home and wouldn't let us work, and it was fine. I mean, come on. Then you made us take an experimental vaccine, or else we couldn't go back to work, or we would have been fired from our job. And now people are suing and costing the federal government more money because of your action. Ah! Are we the only ones out there that know this stuff? No, our audience is very smart.
I just have to follow up real quick on our last story here about the undocumented migrants here in this country. This is from an hour ago. This is breaking here in Pittsburgh. From WPXI, undocumented immigrant charged with attempted homicide of a 7-year-old man. So this is what I was alluding to earlier. He is now in jail. He was shot while he was visiting a local nursing and rehab center last Wednesday. Luckily, this man is still alive, but he was shot by an undocumented migrant, or the WPXI calls him immigrant. But again, every state is a border state. This is the hell that the Biden administration has unleashed on this country. Happened right here in Pittsburgh.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it's getting closer and closer to where we are. Beaver County, right next to Allegheny County. All right. But in closing, like I said, if you wore a mask alone while driving, then I really don't care how you feel about RFK Jr. being head of HHS. Just like if you've been a criminal the past 4 years, I don't care what you think about Matt Gaetz being the FBI director. Mark, I want to get in front of this story. It's from Insurrection Barbie. She put this out on X, and there's rumors flying around that Matt Gaetz had intercourse with an underage girl. So the story is fascinating. I'm going to read this. Is from Insurrection Barbie. Former Department of Justice official met with the father of Matt Gaetz and tried to extort him for $25 million. The local FBI office told Gaetz' father to wear a wire, which he did. This resulted in the arrest and conviction of Stephen Alford for extortion. The former DOJ official who met with his father on behalf of Alford was never mentioned. Alford, in conjunction with this former DOJ official, wanted Gaetz to plead guilty, and if he did, they promised him a pardon. This was all happening while the FBI was probing Matt Gaetz for sex trafficking. Of course, charges were never filed, and he was cleared of all wrongdoing. But you know what is really ironic? The subject of the ethics complaint is a 17-year-old girl Matt Gaetz supposedly slept with. It's so strange because that's exactly the charge that the FBI cleared him of. They don't have a crime. They have a girl who is 3 degrees separation from someone in the FBI who is now making allegations, even though the FBI couldn't prosecute Gaetz for this criminality. Do you know who has extensive ties to the ethics community in the House of Representatives? I'm sure it's just a coincidence that it's Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy has spent the entire time since getting ousted by Matt Gaetz for being a horrible speaker to try to take him down. Total coincidence. Mark, what do you think?
Listen, politics is a nasty, nasty game. And this would not surprise me at all if Kevin McCarthy was doing this to get back at Matt Gaetz after Matt Gaetz basically ousted him as speaker, almost single-handedly. So I'm sure Kevin McCarthy has never forgotten about that. And Kevin McCarthy seems like the kind of guy that would love to get revenge on someone like Matt Gaetz. So I still think he's going to get confirmed, whether the Senate does it or whether they have a recess appointment. I think Gaetz will be the next Attorney General.
I hope you're right. All right, before we break, I've seen a lot of people on TV talking about Matt Gaetz and how he's not qualified and how he'd be a terrible AG and he can't be trusted. John Brennan was one of those people. I want to remind our audience, John Brennan has the nerve to say this on, where it was, MSNBC. John Brennan spied on members of Congress, then lied about it under oath. Nothing ever happened to him. Instead, he got a high-paying job as a contributor on the fake news network MSNBC, and he gets to tout this stuff, spout this stuff. Tell me again why MSNBC or John Brennan or anyone gets to say certain Trump appointments can't be trusted by the American people when they have someone on their network who lied under oath about spying on members of the American people in Congress. All right, we got to take a break. When we return, we're going to talk about this McCormick Casey updates. Breaking news about the SCOTUS. No, Democrats don't seem to care. We're in disarray. No rules, no laws. Mad Max, Thunderdome. Go to a commercial.
How would you like to make the holidays a little better? This is Andy Dangle from Freedom United Federal Credit Union with a Christmas wish for you. Make the holiday the one you've always dreamed of with a visit to Freedom United Federal Credit Union. While you're there, register to win a Christmas breakfast tray from Cafe Colache in Beaver. That's right, get the money you need, plus a delicious holiday breakfast for you and your family just by doing business with Freedom United Federal Credit Union. The interest really is in you at Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, coming to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, a winning team. 99.3 FM and WBVP, providing news, sports, and information for 76 years.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
Welcome back to Thinking Logically here on 99.3 FM WBVP. We got to cover the McCormick-Casey race now. Just for if you just woke up from a coma, we went from McCormick up over 40,000 votes on election day or the day after to now a slim lead of maybe like 12,000 because they continue to count votes in 4 Democrat counties: Philadelphia County, Bucks County, which I think in the last 24 hours has switched from Republican back to Democrat somehow, Montgomery County, and Center County. They decided, you know what, we're still going to count ballots till we find enough, I guess. Mark, I don't even know. How is this still legal? How are they not in jail?
Oh, this is bizarre. I mean, we saw this lead dwindle to, I think, what did you say? I saw it was on now, like 12,000?
Yeah.
And I told you earlier, I'm like, they are going, I think it was this morning I texted you, I'm like, they are going to steal this. How are they getting away with this? Bucks County, they're defying a U.S. Supreme Court order. They're breaking the law. Shouldn't they have to go to jail? Chris LaCivita, Trump's co-campaign manager, said that they will be prosecuted if what they're doing is illegal. So the Supreme Court now in PA has already issued a ruling on this. By the way, a Democrat Supreme Court here in Pennsylvania. They issued another ruling today counting against counting faulty dated ballots. This is against the law what they're doing now in Pennsylvania. I don't know if it's just Bucks County, if there's more counties besides Bucks that are doing this. This ends Casey's recount. She should concede, and Josh Shapiro should step in and save the taxpayers of Pennsylvania money by stopping this sham of a recount. There is no path now for Casey. If you can't count faulty ballots, then there really is no chance for him to win. That was his only path.
It's the 18th.
40-some thousand votes. Where are you going to make that up?
Where are they finding these? What do you mean? Where are they? It's the 18th. It's 2 weeks ago. Do they expect people to just not care because Trump won? They won't care. We'll just take the Senate.
Yeah. Ari Fleischer on X, statement by McCormick. McCormick campaign issued a statement after the PA Supreme Court 7-0 ruling against Casey in Democratic counties that tried to count illegal ballots. So tell me now, how is he going to win? Now, I will remind you and all of our listeners, when Oz beat McCormick by under 1,000 votes in the primary 2 years ago, McCormick didn't even, I think he even called off the recount. But Swamp Creature Bob Casey's down 40,000, and they're going to go through with this now? This is a joke. So hopefully this comes to an end quickly.
I just would love to know where the ballots come from. I'd love to just... why can't we do it?
Overseas, Joe. They got to get the overseas ballots.
All right. Did you see about this one? You heard about this one? So the Secret Service is investigating an agent who's been accused of having Antifa and anarchist ties and allegedly lashed out at... what did he do? Lashed out at Trump as someone with Nazi-ass policies and called his supporters... I can't even say the one word, and then neo-Nazis in several social media posts. Internet sleuths and an online publication called justicereport.net published details of what they describe as the agent's online posts A Secret Service spokesman tells me that the agency officials heard about the accusations and have modified the agent's duties. So this is all real. Internet sleuths really did out this dude and launched an internal probe into the social media post. Wow. The Secret Service. Mark, this falls under Mayorkas too, I have to say, right?
This is a Secret Service agent who is doing this. Well, Mayorkas oversees the Secret Service. I would love to see Dan Bongino head the Secret Service, but we all know that's probably not going to happen. That's just wishful thinking. But I think whoever he appoints is obviously going to be a lot better than, what was her name, Kimberly Cheadle, and who's the acting director right now?
I don't know, but I know Dan Bongino hates him.
The acting director, but future looks bright, though. Future looks bright. We just got to keep Trump safe till Inauguration Day.
All right, this next story. How much was it? Was it over $1 trillion? How much did the Pentagon misplace this time? For this, it's 7th year in a row, the Pentagon failed its financial audit, and it's unable to account for it's like half. It's like 2-point-something trillion, I think, overall. I saw numbers that say 650 billion. I saw numbers that say
something like that. It was several hundred billion.
From what I have from from a Musk tweet this morning, it's 824 billion.
Everyone, demand your tax money back or do not pay taxes for 2024 until they pass the audit, because they'll audit you to death. If figure out what you owe, and then if you're wrong, you're getting audited and you don't pay it, you go to jail. Meanwhile, they could just do whatever with our money. It's $824 billion. You know how many piers we could have built, Ryan, for $824 million? Yeah. We could have one out in Bridgewater. This is wild. This is getting wild here. Starting to amp up a little bit now that the election's gone. Done and over with. We only got about 2 or 3 minutes left, Mark. Rudy Giuliani, he had his entire life room for accusing Ruby Freeman of election interference, and now he has to pawn his watches or send them, I believe he's sending them to Ruby Freeman and the Georgia election workers. Yes, this is the accumulation of 60 years of hard work. Many of these watches hold great sentimental value, and it's being FedExed to Georgian election workers Ruby Freeman and Shamos. Wow, poor Rudy Giuliani. All because he said, hey, some funny business happened after they shut the voting down, after they shut the counting down in 7 states. They didn't do that this time.
What else we got?
Kathy Hochul, what is this new tax where she invented a tax and then they went back and they said, we're not going to tax. It was supposed to be like a $2,500 tax. And then she came out and said the tax is only going to be $1,500. So we're actually saving you 40% because we're lowering what we were going to charge. That's not how it works, though. You're still costing the people $2,000 annually that they have to spend now because they have to pay $9 to enter Manhattan. Sorry, they're not going to. I think they wanted to charge people $15 and they decided on $9. So they're saying that because they decided for less money that hey, we're saving you money. No, you're costing us money.
I don't know how people live and work in New York, man. That is something else, that place.
All right, our last story of the day, Mark, and then we got to head out of here. Undersea cables. The Sea Lion submarine cable running between Finland and Germany has broken. Communications cut. Also, another undersea cable between Lithuania and Sweden has been damaged. Is this us? Did we do this?
We did the last one, so I wouldn't put it past anything or anyone. That could very well have been us. For whatever reason, I have no idea what their motive would be to do that, but who knows?
All right, we are at, we got to get out of here. We got a minute left. Ryan, anything you want to say? Sports, anything political, Trump dance related?
No, you know what? This was a really good show. I didn't get caught up on a lot of my news this weekend. There was a lot of sports going on, so I'm glad that I got caught up today. Very grateful. Thanks, guys.
Okay, and Mark, before we head out.
Speaking of our theme here of illegal migrants today, this is from Patrick Webb on X about a half hour ago. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker sends stern warning to President-elect Donald Trump over deportation plans, claims it's unconstitutional and illegal. It seems uncalled for and may, in fact, be unconstitutional and illegal, says Governor J.B. Pritzker. All right, J.B.
What a loser. What a slob. All right, that's it for us today. We'll be back on Thursday, 5 to 6 p.m. here on WBVP 99.3, your hometown Beaver County Radio. Until then, I'm Joe Corsai signing off. See you Thursday.
The views and opinions expressed on WBVP and WMBA are those of the participants and host. They are not necessarily the viewpoint of WBVP and WMBA, its staff, management, and advertisers. Thank you for listening to WBVP and WMBA.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by